welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should because I talk about geeky things, and today we're going to talk about Beast Morphers, and I want to make this quick because I got family here, so today's Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Season 2, Episode 12, The Greater Good. So this episode is all about our newest character, Jaku. So let's just get on into it. If you guys want to skip the full episode recap, you guys can click this timestamp right here, and if I remember, I'll put the time codes in the bottom in the description so you'll be able to see the chapters. Forgot last week. Let's hope I remember this week. So we open up with Jaku putting out fires that were created by Ryjack as he stole some more effects from a transport truck or barrels. I think it was barrels. Anyway, moving on, it's not important. The Rangers are just pulling up, he's telling them the story, and they're all just very happy that Jaku is there. The commander then offers him kind of a full-time job as soon as Ryjack is done, of kind of a full-time job with Grid Battle Force, and he accepts. We eventually come across Ryjack as he is, well, we're at Evox's lair, and they're talking with Ryjack. Ryjack is tunneling towards the vault. And he's nearly there. Evox is really struggling without any Morph X, so that was why they stole some Morph X, was to keep Evox alive. So he plugged in to the Morph X. Ben and Betty are helping Jaku move into his new sleeping facility, and they come across a plant that is alive, and Jaku tells them not to move. They move, and the plant nearly eats them because Ben and Betty are, you know, funny. Turns out Jaku has a daughter named Starlight. Nate overhears him talking with his daughter and realizes that he can't stay because he needs to be able to go home to his family, because Nate kind of grew up in a similar position that Starlight did, or that Starlight is growing up in the sense that his parents were often away overseas, and he wishes that they had kind of played a more substantial role in his childhood. The Rangers end up hearing the tunneling that's happening underneath them. They realize kind of where it's coming from, so they go off to fight Ryjack, which they do. They grab Jaku and they go to fight Ryjack, but even though they deal him a pretty decent blow, he still is able to escape and teleport out. The Rangers are insistent on making sure that that particular tunnel ends up being sealed, but we never really hear much more about that. This is when Nate kind of confronts Jaku with the decision to stay with Grid Battle Force. When he says that you should go home and see your daughter, this is where he's telling his story and just saying that he would have preferred if his parents came home more often. Jaku then explains why he feels like he can't go home, and that is because to become this galactic police officer, he needed to become basically a cyborg. So he's part robot, part human, and he just isn't the father that Starlight remembers, and he doesn't want to go home. He basically wants her to remember him the way he was. The Rangers have the opportunity to go fight Jaku again. He is on some roof, so they go off to fight him again. They're able to really kind of take him out to a certain extent. Then he pulls out something that allows him to grow, and he ends up growing. The Rangers all obviously get into their Zords and combine into their Megazord. Turns out that Jaku also has a Zord that is able to play a part in this fight. As the Ryjack story is kind of going on, him growing, the Rangers calling their Zords, Scrozzle is able to steal one of his weapons and disappears with it. The Rangers are then able to defeat Ryjack with the help of Jaku and their Zords. He is officially defeated. Back at the base, we have Nate and the commander having a pretty cool surprise for Jaku, as they are able to recalibrate the machines that turned the Rangers into Rangers by combining their DNA with animal DNA in order to create the Beast Morpher Rangers. And they are able to make him fully human again, where he is able to return home, which he does. He ends up leaving his plant with Ben and Betty because Ben and Betty are funny. Ben and Betty end up feeding the plant trash and it ends up spitting out the recyclables and then ends up throwing up on Ben and Betty because that's funny. At that point, they get a video message from Jakku as he and Starlight are together, and Starlight thanks the Rangers for allowing Jakku to return home. And that's where the episode ends. Still no Jason. I just want Jason. So let's talk about some of the things I found to be good, which may surprise you guys, because some of the things I find good about this episode, I tend to find negative about a lot of other episodes. Overall, I thought this story was pretty good. There's one aspect to the story that I didn't love, and I will get to that in where I feel about it negatively. But there are definitely aspects of the story that I thought were really good. There were no major plot holes, mostly because it was a very episodic thing, because it was obviously this Jakku storyline where it's not connecting to anything in the past. I'm sure it will connect to things in the future, especially with the weapon that Scarlet stole, obviously. But at the end of the day, like, it's still kind of its own kind of, even though it was only 2 parts, kind of its own little mini series, which kind of just, it stands alone, which is fine. So there really were no massive plot holes in this particular episode. But yeah, overall the story was pretty good. Something else that I noticed that was great about this episode was honestly the writing. As much as I hate to give any kind of credit to Judlin and his team, you know me, you guys, I feel like Beast Morphers as a whole, and this is something that I don't give enough credit to Beast Morphers about, is the fact that their writing is very conversational. It's something that I have a problem with in a lot of Power Ranger episodes, Power Ranger seasons. One of the big reasons I don't like Lightspeed Rescue is because the writing is not very conversational. It's one of my biggest issues with like Ninja Steel, for example, is that the writing is not conversational. And if you don't write conversationally, it becomes a problem. Especially green actors can't speak non-conversationally, and that's like rule number 1 when it comes to writing a script, is making sure that it is conversational writing. And it just isn't conversational. But Beast Morphers tends to be very conversational. This episode in particular was really great when it came to conversational aspects. And I don't know, I just really appreciate it. I just really honestly appreciate it. Something else I don't give a lot of credit to Beast Morphers for, because a lot of the times I talk about acting, I talk about the negative parts of Beast Morphers and their acting. But the main cast, aside from Ben and Betty, are actually very good actors. I feel like the woman who plays the commander tends to be a little robotic. I feel like that's probably more of a direction than it is an acting choice, because she's supposed to be prim and proper. It's kind of a similar issue I have with the non-conversational writing of, like, for example, Lightspeed Rescue, is this trying to portray something but just not doing it well. However, the Rangers are all honestly really great. I think, you know, Roxy and Blaze are really great, even though they were super underutilized in this particular episode, which makes me very sad because I love when they're a part of the show. But the main Ranger cast, the 4 people who play the Power Rangers, and I'm not including Steel because voice acting is a whole different thing, and I think the voice acting in Power Rangers has almost always been just stellar. I've never really had an issue with voiceover when it comes to characters that are only voiceover, when they're hiring actual voice actors to play the parts. That's a completely different situation. But the people who go from in person to voiceover, sometimes it's really hard for somebody who is an actor, because again, voice acting is very different. You're only using your voice to portray emotion. You're only using your voice to portray anything, really. You can't use your body to do anything, even though you do use your body a lot in voice acting, but people don't see that. I think that the acting in general has just been really great. I really do like the acting for the most part in Beast Morphers. Obviously, you guys know where I feel like the acting is super lacking, but I think for the most part, at least the Rangers, the people who go from civilian to voiceover in their suits, all do a really great job, and that means a lot because, again, that has been an issue. Troy, Megaforce. So let's talk about the negatives. I hate how they take off helmets. Like, Jakku took off his helmet twice. I hate it. I legitimately hate it. Where they're holding their helmet like in front of their face and then they slowly bring it up. They did that in the Legendary Battle, and I just hate it. I think it doesn't look correct. It doesn't look good. It looks really bad. I hate it. I hate it. It's not a good stylistic. It's not a good stylistic choice. It is very poorly directed. I hate it. I just hate it. I just hate it. Let's talk about Ben and Betty. So Ben and Betty were definitely not utilized in this episode nearly as much as they are in a lot of other episodes, which made me very happy. However, I don't think they're funny. I just don't. That's it, because you guys know how I feel about Ben and Betty. Like, I feel like I should stop talking about them because all of you are just going, we know you hate Ben and Betty, move on. So, the one piece of the story that I didn't love, and that is just from somebody who is very body positive and just kind of, I didn't love it. And that's how they made Jaku human again at the end. I feel like a much more poignant and a much more meaningful ending would have been that the surprise, and this is what I thought, that the surprise was going to be his daughter and that he was going to take off his helmet and she was going to love him just as much as she would have had he been fully human. That it was just really her father that she loved and not this human version of her father. I didn't love how he felt like he really, like they kind of allowed for the fact that he wanted to be fully human before he would see his daughter again to play any real role in him being able to be accepted. Like, he should have been able to be accepted at home by his daughter being the cyborg that he now is, because that's who he is. So turning him back into human, I just feel like that was such a problematic ending, to be honest. But again, this is coming from somebody who's incredibly body positive, so maybe it has to do with that. Maybe it's just because it's not a body positive thing, because he should have been accepted for who he is now versus who he used to be. And I don't know, that's just how I felt about the end of that particular episode. But all in all, that episode was actually pretty great. I actually really enjoyed it, aside from the fact that I still don't get Jason. So, still don't spoil anything, please. I don't want to be spoiled. So there you guys have it. That's how I felt about this particular episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode down in the comments below. Did you guys like this episode? What was your favorite and least favorite part about this episode? And I will see you guys all next Monday with my next Beast Morphers video, or if you guys are here for all things geeky, this Thursday I'll be reacting to an old video that I did in 2013. Now that you guys have seen the full stories that I kind of skirted over because I was still dealing with the trauma of it, in my Draw My Life story, you guys get to see that. So tune in on Thursday for that. I'm very excited for that video to come out because I think that it will be a lot of fun to be able to see those differences in who I am now and who I was back then. Somebody very much struggling with her mental health. So there you go. So if you guys want to see my last Beast Morphers episode review, you guys can click right here. If you guys want to see all of the Beast Morphers episode reviews that I've done thus far, which includes most of season 1 and all of season 2 so far, you guys can click right here. You click here to subscribe. Please do hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. And like I said, like this video, comment down below your favorite and least favorite parts of this particular episode. And I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.